Welcome folks back to the channel. This is about the third video I've had on these two cars. The first one was the introduction to them and the parts cars, and the second video was getting it started after 34 years. If you haven't watched those videos, watch it. This one's been sitting, and they've both been sitting since '87. Pretty sure this thing must have been in a junkyard because there's lots of parts missing, and people robbed parts, and rats got in it, everything else. So we got it running. I'd poured oil, took out the spark plugs, poured oil down the cylinders, cranked it over, put new plugs in it, and finally got it to fire up a couple of times. Now, since then, I have bought a new distributor cap, rotor, coil. What I did notice on this is somebody put an oil gauge right where the sending unit goes. And when I did have it running the other day, it did pop up to at least 25 when I glanced at it. So it looks like it has oil pressure. The oil was just sludge at the bottom, thin at the top. I did change the oil and filter, and I put in some seafoam, a bunch of it in the oil. So it's basically, as it's running, it's going to be doing kind of a flush. Hopefully it'll get up all that sludge, and after a certain amount of time I'll have to change the oil again. Okay, then I did buy a box of caps for the vacuum deals on the carburetor and intake. If you remember, they were all plugged up with Gulf tees and busted rubber and everything else. So I think I got the vacuum cleared out. The carburetor is still full of dirt. I did have it running yesterday, but it kind of got hot. Because there's no belts. The power steering's missing. The alternator's missing. So there's nowhere to put a belt on it. I did notice the AC condenser is actually free. So I can't run the water pump. And then the radiator is, of course, empty. And we don't know what was in it. If there was water in it for 34 years, I'm sure it's busted out some freeze plugs, or hopefully not any worse than that. So I'm going to attempt to start it, cold start it today. How I can keep it running is just keep pouring gas in it, because I have not done anything to the fuel system yet. That'll be coming up shortly, where I'll either disconnect the fuel pump and put it in a can, or buy a new fuel pump. But for now, we're going to just pour some gas in the carburetor and try to keep it running for a minute or so. It's smoking like hell because all the oil had filled in the cylinders when I had the spark plugs out. So we want to try to burn some of that off and just get it running, but not enough to overheat it. And you have to have it running for a while to get the oil up to pressure, get the valve train, and see if she clears up, starts running a little bit smoother. So I want to do that. I still think we got electrical problems, butchered wiring. We don't know how good that lean burn system is on the air cleaner. We'll show you something on this car here, because there is a kit you can buy to bypass that lean burn system. So here's the plug for it. See, there's already a cut wire there. But let me see. it looks like it's all disconnected except for this blue wire. And then I believe this is what you got to replace here. I forget what this is called. This deal here, with this wiring harness here. And you take that, and I'm not sure exactly where all these wires go. It does have a plug there. Oh, I think that's the distributor. You plug that into the distributor. And then it's got a blue wire right here going back to the lean burn harness. Okay, and then I'm not exactly sure what that blue wire is for, where that connects to, but I can look all that up. But it looks like this car here had been converted, which was very, very common in the day, to convert that lean burn system, because it was just plagued with problems. So anyway, back to this car. That's what I think is part of the problem with this car. And it's got to come off anyway, because it just robs horsepower and everything else. But for now, let's put some gas in it, see if she'll start, see if I can keep her running for a minute or two. She was running. Try it again. Sure, it's cold-natured. Cold-natured, plus the choke's probably not working properly. Okay, folks, we're back. My SD card got full. I had to change it out. Let's see if we can get this thing running for a little bit. She's dying right away. I don't think she's holding any gas in that float. It's full up with dirt. Well, she stopped smoking. It smoked like hell yesterday. I don't see any smoke. Let me set up this camera, and I'm gonna have to use both hands. little bit of smoke. Not bad though, compared to what it was. Try a little bit of sea foam. Okay, it's a little smoky out still, not bad. I can't get it running consistent enough to really hear it if it's clearing out. It seems like it's clearing out a little bit. So I'm going to turn off the camera for now and do something with this fuel system and cooling system. I may hook up the alternator. I got another alternator and hook that up so I can put a belt on it to turn the water pump and put some water in the radiator. So I'll be back. Okay folks, it's been a couple of days since I've had the camera going. Go over what I've done to this so far. I put the power steering pump on. I got that from this car. I put the alternator on and wired it up and fixed these two wires here. And I got that from the other parts car. And after I did that, I decided to get a fuel pump. I think you can see that down there. It's right underneath the alternator, so I have to take the alternator and everything back off again, and I changed over the fuel pump, and I just run the fuel line up into this gas can here, and it's pumping fuel, and I put a filter right in here so I could see, and it's pumping fuel up there, but the float bowl is just jammed full of dirt, and it's just stuffed up. So the gas coming in here, that's as far as it gets. It's not putting gas in there, but it will stay running if I pour gas down the carburetor. And it's clearing up. It's running a lot better, a lot less smoke. In fact, a few times I started, there was no smoke whatsoever. So I think that's going to clear up. I had to mount the radiator in there. It was all, someone took all the bolts out of the radiator, and I just filled it up with water. So I wanted to get it running, and I had to put the power steering and alternator and everything on there so I could get the water pump to turn. I couldn't have it running for very long without a water pump. So we're going to see if all that works and see if I can keep it running for a while. And if I can keep it running on its own without pouring gas in it, I'll put it into gear, see if it starts moving. And if it starts moving, then I can get it over on my concrete slab over there in the shop. So the next thing is to take this carburetor apart. I thought it was originally a Holly, but it's a Carter. See if I can get up here. It's a Carter carburetor. And I'm not sure how to take this apart. I think I can just take off the top and clean out. It's this float bowl right in here. It's just all jammed with dirt that got down into the vent tube. And it's not letting the gas get in. So I got to take that apart and clean it. Put it back together. And hopefully it won't need a carb kit. I don't know, hopefully I can be able to clean it out without taking the whole thing apart, but if I have to, I have to. And we'll go over the price of some of this stuff. Is dirt cheap. I think the fuel pump was 21 bucks. Spent, I don't know, a few bucks on new hoses, new clamps, and a cheap little filter. And all this stuff was in stock and cheap at AutoZone. Got the distributor cap and rotor for like 17 bucks. The coil I think was about 15. Spark plugs were pretty cheap, couple bucks each. The wires were like 25. I got a can of sea foam that I poured in there with the oil, and that's another thing. I'm gonna have to let that oil, let it run for a while with that oil in there, with that sea foam. It's kind of like a oil flush, because I had all that sludge in the bottom of the oil pan, and that'll all mix up. And after it runs for a while, I'm going to change the oil and filter again. But the oil and filter weren't very much, about 20 bucks from Walmart. So yeah, I spent, you know, I don't know, 100, 150 bucks or something on this so far. And I figure even if this engine isn't any good, I could use all them parts on another engine, or most of them except for the oil. So I believe that's all I'm going to go over until I take this carburetor apart. Figure I'll just get this segment in, show you what I've done to it. I think I got all the wiring. It seems to, I don't think any of the wiring or ignition is any problem with it now. But still, I'm still worried about this lean burn system. I may either buy a kit or use that wiring harness off the other parts car and bypass all this, because I know they're plagued with problems. This one may work, but I'd just be on the safe side and bypass it. And that way I know it's not going to be any problem. So I believe that's all that I've done to it. And so I will see you next segment after I get the carburetor apart, and we'll see if she'll run on her own with the gas, external gas can, run on its own without, I want to get it up on the concrete slab, and then we'll check out the gas tank situation and see if I can clear out all the lines, make sure they're not plugged up. So that'll be it for now. Okay guys, I took the carburetor off. See how close we can get in here. It is a Carter Thermo Quad. I took it off and I tried to take it apart. Took all the little bolts out right there and there, and I tried to pry it apart and cracked this this black here is plastic. I cracked it at a spot. I don't know, I must have missed a couple of bolts somewhere, but it is nasty. I don't know how you can, if you can see in here. I'm trying to get as close as I can. It is just filthy. And like I said, the float bowl here is just packed with dirt because it all got jammed down this vent So I had a dilemma whether to try to rebuild this, which I would have to buy a whole kit, and who knows what it'll need, valves and the float, and I don't have a vat thing to put one of these in to clean it. I could sit there with a little brush for hours and take every little part, every piece apart on it and clean it, and spend a lot of time and probably, you know, some money on a rebuild kit and everything. So I started looking at new carburetors, and I'll post a picture here on this video. I bought a Holley, what was it called? A Holley 600 Street something, and for 229 bucks shipped. So I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and get a brand new carburetor. That way I don't have to mess with this one, spend all the time, money on carb kits and all that. So I think we're going to say bye-bye. This was probably served its purpose for 40, how old is the car? 43 years old, although it was off the road in '87. But it's been on the car for 43 years, and that's it. And plus it's a smog carburetor. Don't know what the difference is, but we're just going to go get a brand new Harley. So I'm going to end this video on this series. We did get it running. We tuned it all up with everything that I could get for it. You know, we got the coil and the cap and the rotor and the plugs and the plug wires, and we got it running. It'll stay running if you pour gas in it. Couldn't get it running long enough to see if it'll, you know, overheat, but it did smooth out quite a bit, a lot less smoke. So I will continue the next video when I get the new Holley on and get it mounted. And the other thing is, I'm not sure if I'm gonna need an adapters or, you know, little deals for the accelerator cables and all that, or if I can use this. I could probably take that. I think that comes off. I could probably take that off and put it on the Holley. So who knows how much of a delay it's going to be from getting that Holley in to getting it on and getting everything working. So I'll save all that for the next video, and then we'll get the thing running on its own. See if it moves in gear forwards and backwards. Not a big deal if it doesn't. I got another spare transmission. But that's what we'll do next video. We'll get the thing moving and get it over here in front of my shop, right on the concrete slab. We're going to put that thing up on jack stands and get up underneath of it. Check out everything. Check out for mainly the rust, and get under there and see if there's any parts missing, stuff like that. So that's what we'll do next video. So I'll end this one on the progress we got so far, and I will see you all next video. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you next video.